Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our show. My name is Rich Sharp. I'd like to welcome everyone to our weekly show. We call it Tournament Horse Racing. It is brought to you by Broke Guys Handicapping. Here's how it works. We've broken the horse racing calendar into four separate tournaments, and each tournament consists of approximately 10 racing days. We pick four races from each of those racing days, and we compete against each other for prizes. We have four horse players, and each player makes a mythical $2 win place bet in each of the four races that day. Simply put, we measure who wins the most money. The horse player who wins the most money after 10 weeks is the winner of that tournament. At the end of the year, we will have four individual tournament winners, and there's one year-end champion that's based on total amount of money that you won during the entire year. That's how the tournament works. And now it's time to introduce you to our horse players, or since I'm really just going to talk to you about one, our horse player, since two of them are currently absent from us. I am not going to go in time zone order. I'm not going to go from East Coast to West Coast. It's going to go right next door to one of my closest friends from the last 5 years. It is my good friend. He lives in Menifee, California, and his name is Steve Newsom. Steve, just you and me tonight. Instead of broke guys handicapping, it's just two kilt friends handicapping.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's all right. That's all right. Maybe I have to fill up some more airtime.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to fill up some more airtime, and God forbid if we both start hitting tonight, we're like, okay, Joe, Ray, you guys are out of it.
Right.
All right. So I did mention the other two players. I would be remiss if I did not mention that I have a very good friend. His name is Ramon Torrado, and he lives all the way on the other side of the country in Staten Island, New York. He has not joined us yet, but don't be surprised if you see a little face pop up over there. Let's not forget he's 3 hours ahead of us, so he always hangs in there late at night. And the last one, again, I would be remiss if I did not mention my very good friend Joe English, who could not make it tonight because this is his birthday weekend, and he's in Las Vegas, Nevada, constantly texting us pictures of the various sports books that he's sitting in while gambling, just so you know. So, Joe, we love you. We love the pictures. I hope you're having a wonderful birthday, my friend. Miss you on the show tonight.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, folks, I always give a reminder before I start the show. Even though they're not here, the reminder comes from Joe and Ray and Steve and myself. We're all friends. We do this show for fun, and we try not to take ourselves too seriously. You will actually see that take place during the show. We are most certainly not a touting service, and we're not recommending or selling picks in any of these races. We're just horse players. We love our sport, and we enjoy competing against each other for fun. We hope you do as well. And
Not financial advice.
this is definitely not financial advice. Thank you for weighing in. Before I
Yes.
go ahead and get to our normal weekly routine and things like that, I am going to answer two questions that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks. One came from Kentucky Derby week. The other one came from the week after and things like that. And yes, I will be wearing Los Angeles Rams stuff for the rest of my life after they won the Super Bowl this year. That's just how it's going to work. Okay. Last and second, just so I can introduce everybody that actually does show up on the show. It's not just me. It's not just Steve Newsom, and it's not just Ray Torrado and Joe English. As you see there, this is Bob Baffert is back there in the corner. Just to Bob's right, that is Tyler Gaffleone, and next to Tyler Gaffleone is Irad Ortiz. And finally, on the right of Irad Ortiz, that is Mr. Todd Pletcher. And last but not least, right here on turf, right where he belongs, is Mr. Chad Brown. Okay, if you go up one shelf, because I got this question and things like that, that is my autographed picture of Zenyatta, and that is my bobblehead doll of Zenyatta that is also autographed, and that is a picture of Mike Smith, who of course did the autographing for me, and they are on shelf number two, and then of course on my top shelf, always and forever, that's California Chrome. And I hope everybody didn't. No big surprise there. Those are some of the people that show up in the background on here. That whole shelf is all populated with pictures and photos and buttons. Ray Torrado actually has a couple of programs up there from the two Triple Crowns that Ray Torrado got to see at Belmont Park. One involving American Pharoah, and the other one involving Justify. So I didn't get to see those races, but thanks to Ray, I do have the programs and I do have the unbet win tickets from both of those races. Much appreciation to Ray. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we will take a look at what happened last week on tournament horse racing. I go ahead and change away from my script, and I will drop down my picture of Steve down a little bit lower in the screen. And you can take a look last week. After the Kentucky Derby, we head to Belmont. They had a very, very nice stakes card that last week. There was the Man of War Stakes. There was the Beauregard, I believe it is, and there was also the Peter Pan Stakes. So nice stakes racing, not exactly nice gambling by the guys here on tournament horse racing. But as you see there, Joe did manage to nip me in that very final race, race number 11. He puts up a $7.10 place win on a horse that he had picked out. So he ends up with $10.20 on the day after 4 races, and noses me with a mighty $9.40. And although that's a pitiful performance for 4 races, I will tell you, I think that actually tripled my total from the year so far. So, Steve,
Hey, Rich,
yes,
I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm just curious. On that first race, you got Joe and me picked the two, and you got placed, and we
oh,
got 310 there, and then
oh,
he
I'm
picked
sorry.
the
You know what? I'm sorry.
three.
You know what? I thank you. Thank you for auditing me.
Uh-oh.
As you know, sometimes these things are done not with any malice intended, but just trying to
Oh,
be.
no, no, no. Yeah.
All right. So again, those are our final totals, and Joe did put up the win mark. So Joe gets the win for last week. Nice little birthday treat for him. And we will go to our summary of quarter number one, which shows that Stephen Newsom is still in front by just about a buck. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, Steve's got 2 wins on the season, and
No,
Joe.
I overtook
Oh,
Ray,
excuse me.
didn't I? Wasn't Ray up there?
I believe that's I believe you did pass him, right? So let's see.
Yeah.
You're ahead of him by a buck, and you scored 3 bucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There you
Yeah,
go.
Ray
Pushes Steve up into first place.
got a donut.
And Joe, as you see there, he does have 2 wins on the season. Again, we only measure how much money you win because that's the only thing the handicappers and gamblers care about. But in the event that somehow we have a tie, and I know what you're thinking, but believe it or not, we've been doing the show for 2 years now, and we've come this close to a tie like 3 times. Anyway, we would actually use the number of wins on the
Yeah,
season.
we have.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we really have. All
Yeah,
right.
and so somebody's gonna get the impression that might watch this show that I might be all right at handicapping, and
Hey,
I don't think I might get it.
I say we call it like we call them like we see them, Steve. All right, so that takes us to this week. Again, we had the first leg of the Triple Crown 2 weeks ago. That was the Kentucky Derby there in Churchill Downs. This week, we are headed up to Maryland, Pimlico Racetrack in just outside of Baltimore, Maryland, for the Preakness. This is the second leg of the Triple Crown. We'll be covering races 10 through 13, and race number 13, that is the Preakness. So we're going to go ahead, and if Steve is ready, I'm going to go ahead and fire up race number 10.
All right.
Here we go. They are going 1 mile on the turf, and this is the James W. Murphy Stakes. And had I known that Ray and Joe were not going to be able to show up tonight, I actually would have done some research and be able to tell you about James W. Murphy. I know it's a fun story because I've done that before. The purse is $100,000 for 3-year-olds only, and your morning line favorite is here in post number 5. This is Ready to Perform, trained by Brad Cox and ridden by Florent Giroux. He is 5-2 on the Pimlico morning line, and I apologize. The name of the racetrack here is Pimlico Racetrack, and it is just outside of Baltimore. Steve, go ahead. I've been talking and talking and talking. Why don't you go
Yeah,
ahead and take a
yeah.
crack at race number 10?
Yeah. So you might as well just keep it right here. I and I, this is the first time I've seen the odds, so I didn't realize I was
There
on
you
the
go.
favorite.
There's your defense.
But I, I guess anyway, yeah. Ready to perform. You got Florence Giroux, Brad Cox by Kitten's Joy. First time Lasix. I think Brad Cox is like 39% first time Lasix.
Nice. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. So I don't know. That almost it seems like cheating to me.
Worst is 2 for 3. And
Right.
the only loss was out there. Actually, strangely enough, the only loss was on the Del Mar turf course, where I love it when those East Coast horses come
Right.
out west, and you can see it's not just me. For anybody who thinks that I sit there and try and brag about that particular angle, yes, I have followed it for a number of years. kind of is bred in me now after all these years of watching horse racing that the East Coast turf horses are far superior to the West Coast turf horses, and I usually pick them without even having to handicap very much. In this particular case, Ready to Perform came out here, and that's why I say it's not just me that handicaps that way. You can see the horse was short, $1.30 on, $1.30 paying, and came up a little bit short, seventh by 4 lengths back. So I just, on my angle, sometimes I do not like that. I don't like it when they actually come out to the West Coast and throw up a clunker. Sometimes I feel like maybe they take a race to get back to their surroundings back on the East Coast, but I think it's a good pick. I didn't, after getting burned in the first leg of the Triple Crown because I didn't pick a name horse that happened to have the same first name as me and my favorite sport in the title. But in this case, I'm not going to miss it the second time around. Okay. I'm going with Joe, and he's missing, but it's his birthday weekend, and he's in Las Vegas. I don't know how many more non-racing signs could possibly point to this horse just taking it. In addition to that, just so you know, in addition to that really, intense handicapping there, the horse has won 4 of his last 5 races. He is by declaration of war. This is a turf race. Michael Trombetta is an excellent trainer, as you see here. For those of you who like to follow the Brisnet form, the horse is, first in prime power, and has won 4 out of 6 in their lifetime. Has never raced here at Pimlico before, but in their last performance there in the Federico Tessio, that which is at Laurel, the sister racetrack or the newer version of Pimlico. The horse did win that race, beat a couple of horses that were actually in this particular race, and the only race that he has finished second in recently would be that little stakes race. Again, that was at Laurel. So the horse is locally based, is a Maryland horse, if you like, and so I did like the 10. Unfortunately, I cannot share with you what Mr. Torado may have thought about this race. He has not chimed in with his picks just yet at this point in time. I will tell you that Joe from the Sports Lounge, at Aria, probably in Las Vegas, decided to go with, surprise, surprise, the number 10 horse, Joe. And Joe says that the horse won the Tessio in his last race. This was his turf debut, and Sire won at 1 mile and longer. So big shocker there. Joe is going to go with Joe on the birthday weekend while he's there in Las Vegas. I swear to God, if there was a horse named Ray in here, you know where we'd be going.
So, Rich, I got a question.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that Joe said about the turf?
I think he says, let's see. Make sure I'm reading because the way he took his picture was Vegas style, so he's probably already drunk. Let's see, I'm sorry. He won the Tessio turf debut, too short. So his very first race.
Oh, so the
Yeah,
five and
yeah,
a
it was
half.
only a 5.5 furlong race,
Okay,
and the
gotcha.
horse is actually by declaration of war, who could run all day long
Right.
on the turf, and on top of that, came over here and showed him that he could actually run on the dirt as well. So,
So
excellent.
I had a question for you
Yeah.
because I see this quite a bit, and I picked horses that didn't run too much on turf, and I don't know if I've done too well with that. What do you think of that angle? I mean, apparently you don't. It didn't really factor in too much here.
Well, no, and
Is
that's
that
why
okay?
and I highlighted it up here. So I highlighted Declaration of War. Again, I do follow horse racing pretty carefully. This horse actually came over from Shatin Racetrack. So Declaration of War was a star over in Hong Kong, uh, where it's almost exclusively turf racing, and the only
Oh,
dirt racing they do is on synthetic anyway. So that's
okay.
almost an exclusive turf horse. So to me, this is a breeding angle, maybe a little bit more than just a betting angle as far as looking at the turf to dirt angle. You see there, Trombetta, it's not like he's bad at that, 16%. And as you saw what Joe was saying there, if you want to, kind of check out, maybe the internal metrics of that race, if you like, is that, Joe comments that the race is just a little bit too short, and you can see
Right.
even coming into the straight, he's still 8 lengths off. So thinking about what we see on the camera and things like that, he's probably barely in the camera. Just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the nose in the camera and things like that. Yet he does finish the race just 3.5 lengths. So in that last eighth of a mile, he does close 5 lengths on a winner. Not necessarily a super fast race, but you
Right.
can see here the fractions, at least for a turf race. They were respectable, 22 and 4 and 45. It wasn't like they were going slow. Um, and he did make up some ground there at the end. So
Okay.
I believe, kind of, if I'm reading what Joe is saying carefully there, is that he thinks that first race was just a little bit too short. Again, I'm betting on the breeding angle, which says that Declaration of War would like to run probably even longer, and
Okay. All right. No,
that's the
I
idea.
was just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's why we do our show, right? So Joe got Joe. Ray, we're waiting for. And Steve, you're on the 5, and I'm on Joe because let's face it, it's his birthday. We will go ahead and move along to race number 11. They're going a mile and a 16th on the main track. This is the Sir Barton Stakes, sponsored by Brandon and Deanna Perry to benefit the Thoroughbred Aftercare Program. It is sponsored, the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, excuse me. The purse is $100,000. It is for 3-year-olds only. And once again, your post-time favorite here is in post number 5. It's trained by a local guy out here in California. That's Doug O'Neill, and he is ridden by, he's back there on the shelf, Tyler Gaffleone. B Doc is 5-2 on the Pimlico morning line. And you know what? Just to shake it up here and things like that, let's see what did Mr. English have to say in the second one. It is his birthday after all.
All right.
And we will go ahead and start off with Joe English in this race. He has horse number 9, that is Brooklyn Diamonds. Get down here. He says, if I'm not mistaken, the dam was third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies by Uncle Mo. Enough said. If you've ever watched this show before, some worshippers of Uncle Mo on this particular show. And 5-year-olds, the trainer-jockey combination. This is Rudolph Brissett and Florent Giroux, so a little bit of that French connection here in the United States. Not only do they win at 29% together, but Joe brings up the fact that their return on investment is $2.62 together as a combination. Again, sometimes Joe uses the DRF formulator. I'm a fan of Brisnet, so he has a little bit more data that's there. I would also bring up the fact that the horse cost $400,000, and basically being by Uncle Mo, that was almost a guarantee of the price. All right, Steve, who do you like in race number 11?
Well, again, I guess that's what I get for not looking at the odds. But I like the 5. I like the favorite, B Doc.
All right. No, nothing wrong with this horse at all.
Oh yeah, no. Blew away the field last race,
Right. At Keeneland
right?
by a mere 11 lengths. Um, if you want, before my writing does that, like that, like blown away by 11 lengths. But look where he was in the straight. He was 6.5. He had the race won in the straight, and then he turned it on.
Right? Yeah. Then he opened it up,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Then he started deciding, hey, now I'm going to run. That's
I feel pretty good. Yeah.
That's at Keeneland in a 10-horse with a 10-horse field. Sorry, a little stretch across the page there. Sometimes my highlighter just gets all carried away. But the horse did win by 11. Had Tyler Gaffleone aboard the last time,
Right.
and Doug O'Neill is one of the favorite trainers. If Joe and Ray were here, I would bring up the fact that the sire was my Kentucky Derby pick maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago. I was on Gormley, who also was trained by Doug O'Neill and was in the Kentucky Derby and didn't do much. Not one of my better Kentucky Derby picks. So uh, let's see. One of my better picks, however, may be Uniki. And that this horse is trained by Terry Pompey. This is a Gulfstream Park horse. So again, if you've watched our show, this shouldn't be a surprise. That's kind of like my adopted track. The horse came out in a maiden special weight event there at Gulfstream Park, finishes third in an 8-horse field, and then comes right back only 4-1. It was not an overwhelming price there in that maiden special weight event in the slop. Steve mentioned this a little bit earlier. We are in Maryland. We are in Baltimore area tomorrow, so Beware of weather. And the horse finished first by 2 1/4 lengths in a field of 12. There's another next out winner that's in this race that was under oath. I don't know if that's any relation to Sacred Oath. And then comes back in the next race, which is an optional claimer for non-winners of 1 at Keeneland. That's an 8-horse field. As you see, the horse lugged out there in the comments. Never a favorite thing of mine with that, but does finish second. So I went with the 8 in this particular race. And if you're wondering about the name, well, that's what you get when you breed Unified to Yankee. Uniki.
Yeah, that was my second choice too.
Yeah. Well, I know you've got a preference for Irad Ortiz, and considering that Flavia Prep is suspended this weekend for 3
Right,
days,
right.
unfortunately, I knew who we'd be favoring. So Joe's got the 9. Once again, Ray, I'm hoping he's going to type in, telegraph operator somehow before the end of this one. And I finished up with the 8. And then we will move it along to race number 12. All right, this is the sprint. 5 furlongs on the turf. This is the Jim McKay Turf Sprint. Purse is $100,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. Your morning line favorite is here in post number 2. Karatari, trained by Brian Lynch, ridden by Luis Saez. 9-5 on the Pimlico morning line. I will go ahead and I'm going to kick this one off first. Not a name play, but interestingly enough, when I came up with the horse, I was sitting across the table from someone who's a huge Grateful Dead fan, and I could not miss this one. I am going with Grateful Bread. Believe it or not, folks, I actually am a serious handicapper. I don't just pick the names. Joe, as I pointed out in that race, did have quite a few good qualities, and so does Grateful Bread, which includes the fact that he likes Pimlico. He's a 6-year-old gelding. Pimlico does not get used very often. So the racetrack that's over at Laurel is really the primary track for the Baltimore area, and this one does seem to care for Pimlico. Also has a very good record at this distance. First or second, 7 out of 10 with 5 victories, so a 50% win rate. I have no idea who Madison Myers is. I am familiar with Yavion Toledo, and as you can see, the reason the numbers are so slim is, again, Pimlico is not open very often. His race is over at Laurel. Yavion Toledo is one of their top riders over there. The horse is a 6-year-old gelding by Great Notion. I do not remember that horse as well, but was 5 for 12 in his lifetime. Does capture that second prime power spot in this one, and you are getting a decent price at 6-1. So I went with the 7 horse, Grateful Bread. And Steve, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to you.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I went again. I ended up on the favorite, Cartori. Luis Saez on board. He's hooked up with Lynch a few times. 100%. What was that once?
Yeah, they're 1 for 5.
Right.
Again, not a huge sample, but both
Right.
really solid. Brian Lynch is a really good trainer, and
The
obviously
horses,
Saez.
yeah, horses won his last couple of races.
One of those ones. He's kind of paid off, right, Karatari? He's made $556,000 over his 6-year career.
It costs 56,000.
Cost 6,000.
Oh, is that 6,000?
Yeah, that's 6,000.
Okay.
That's the dollar sign. So yeah,
Oh,
for
okay.
your
Yeah.
$6,000 investment and your $15,000 sire fee. Well, I'm sorry, for your $6,000 investment, you've cleared about $500,000.
Right. Yeah, that's a great investment.
Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. All right, and we are going to finish off again. Joe English did send us his picks, and in race number 12, Joe likes the 5 horse. I also liked Mr. Hustle, trained by Michael Maker and ridden by Irad Ortiz. Let's see, the trainer jockey combo, second after claim. They are 11 for 35 with a $2, with a little bit over a $2 return on investment. In his last race, he had traffic in the stretch, but may not have won, but may be closer to the winner this time. So that 7 cents is the winner that he's talking about there. That shows up there in the bold type. And so Joe is on the 5, Mr. Hustle. Again, I like that horse as well. Probably more because it's Michael Maker and Irad Ortiz that kind of get me
Right,
all
right.
mushy inside. All right. So in the 12, Joe's got the 5. You've got the 2.
Yep,
I've got
yep.
the 7. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to move along to our feature. This is the one that everybody's waiting for. This is the second leg of the Triple Crown.
Let's see. Hopefully, I'm not on the favorite this time.
Yeah, we'll see. You're 3 for 3 so far.
No, actually, this one they had the odds on, so
All
I
right.
know I'm not on the favorite.
This is race number 13. It is the second leg of the Triple Crown. It is one of the oldest horse races in America. It is one of the most expensive, or one of the highest prize monies in America. They're going 1.3 miles on the main track. This is the Preakness Stakes. It's a Grade 1. The purse is $1.5 million for 3-year-olds only. And your morning line favorite is right out here in post number 8. Trained by Steve Asmussen. He's ridden by Joel Rosario. Hang on to your seats, folks, because that's Epicenter. And he is 6-5 on the Pimlico morning line. And Steve, we're going to finish the same way we started. Who do you like in the Preakness?
All right, I went with the 5 early voting. The Zay Ortiz and Chad Brown. I just thought this horse is going to be a little fresher. Hasn't raced since April 22nd.
That's actually the thought, is that the reason that they sat out he sat out the Kentucky Derby. He had enough points to go. So he
Right, right, yeah.
yeah, he could have gone to the Derby, and then he sat it out to wait for the Preakness. Chad Brown specifically said he thought he was a Preakness horse.
Okay. But
You
yeah,
know,
beat by Gun
for
Runner.
whatever this guy knows.
Right, yeah.
Whatever his opinion is
Who
worth.
am I going to disagree with him, right? So
Yeah. I'm torn going into this one because I felt like I really did the viewers, bad in that last race. I did say before the race started that I thought Epicenter was the best horse that we have seen all year. We do this show every single week. So we have seen all of these. Well, I will say at the Kentucky Derby, by the time the Derby went around, we had seen almost every single horse that was in that race. Not Rich,
almost.
but not Rich Strike. Okay. But we have seen a lot of these horses. There are some new shooters. This is not a completely Kentucky Derby filled field, but it's not all new shooters as well. And some of them are horses that we have seen throughout the year as well, including early voting, who was in the Wood Memorial. That was how he got enough points to be in the Derby. I'm going to go ahead and stick with Epicenter in this particular case. I had actually hedged my picks. But since it's only Joe who would be blocking me, and he's just a few bucks ahead of me, I would still like to, pick up a little bit here. So I am going to go with Epicenter, as you heard me say already. I believe he is the best horse that we saw throughout the year. So we saw him.
Yeah.
We've been this show actually starts on December 26th every year. For everybody who wonders how our season begins, and from there we saw him in the Lecomte, we saw him in the Risen Star. We saw him in the Louisiana Derby, and we saw him in the Kentucky Derby. As you see there, he's got 2 wins in 2 seconds, and the 2 seconds aren't by a whole heck of a lot. One by a head and one by 3/4 of a lane. So by about a length, this horse is 4 for 4. The Louisiana Derby and the Kentucky Derby were particularly strong races for him, I believed. I thought that he was the best horse in the Kentucky Derby, not taking anything away from Rich Strike, who certainly ran the best race. But I thought that Epicenter looked like a natural winner, and I was waiting for him to come back to this one. He reminds me a little bit of um, um, I'm trying to think of the name. Empire, not Empire Maker, but a couple of years ago there was one of his sons who did not get the Kentucky Derby, who I was sure was going to win the Preakness, and did not win the Preakness either that day. He actually finished second then. So I am going to stick with Epicenter. Um, And I will tell you that the horse that I was kind of going back and forth between, had he gotten a better post position and not been down there in post number one, which is not the same difficulty of racing at the Kentucky Derby where there's 20 horses, but I thought Simplification, who was the favorite going into the Florida Derby, and who ran one heck of a race there in the Kentucky Derby and got almost nobody talking about him for that heck of a race. So I thought the one Simplification was worthy of a try. I do like those Gulf
Yeah,
Main horses. Yeah.
yeah.
Joe?
If I do a pick four, there's 4 or 5 horses that I
Yeah,
might.
this is a tough one. Yeah, so far nobody's got Sacred Oath. Nobody took or excuse me, Secret Oath, the female, the
Right,
filly
right.
that's coming in off of the win in the Kentucky Oaks. Very popular horse. She is 9-2 on the morning line. Should take up a lot of money tomorrow, and we'll see if she's
Yeah,
our next Swiss
yeah.
skydiver that won the Preakness a couple of years ago. So again, got to turn my phone kind of in a funny direction. I got to turn my head in a funny direction because Joe's texting us odd, but he
Oh, okay.
also took the number 8, which is Epicenter. He always shows up, which I think is what I've been saying. Not as much speed today, but he's going to get first run, and that's Epicenter's style. And just to show you that sometimes we do think alike here on Broke Guys Handicapping or Tournament Horse Racing, Joe has the 8-1 exacta, so he also liked the 1.
Hmm, okay.
Go ahead and punch in these numbers for us. I am going to put the 8. Wait for Ray. Got the 5. And I went ahead and stayed with the 8. Take a quick look, Steve. 5525. And Joe's
Yeah.
got.
See, I like a 5/8 exacta.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Right.
All right. So those look correct. I will go ahead and come on back to you all. And that's how it works. So normally it works with 2 more screens up at the same time when Joe and Ray are
Right.
both here, so we look a little bit more like the Brady Bunch. But that's kind of the gist of what we do here on Tournament Horse Racing on a weekly basis. Normally, Steve and I don't talk this much because, again, we're sharing it with 2 other people.
So, are you going to be at your normal establishment tomorrow for the horse race?
I believe I'm working tomorrow, so I'll be down in San Diego, watching this phone on my iPhone, on my iPad, or my phone, or something like that, because we have a power down for our branch in San
Ah,
Diego, and I'm assisting with that. So I should be down there. The power comes up at about 2 p.m. But that's enough about work. I don't like
oh,
talking about it
oh,
as it is.
uh,
And
yeah.
Steve, have you got any final thoughts on the Preakness? This is your second year doing this with us, and I thought so. It's your second
No,
Preakness on the show.
I Epicenter is going to be right in the mix. You know, I just think that the Kentucky Derby seemed like such an intense race
Oh,
that, it's got to take a lot out of a horse.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. No argument from me. So, yeah, that kind of sums up my thoughts on the Preakness. I would tell everybody out there, don't miss it. Secret Oath, who we were just talking about, she is an exciting filly that's in there. This does look like an exciting crowd. Chad Brown bringing early voting back. And then you've still got Epicenter and Simplification from the Kentucky Derby. Certainly does look like an exciting race. And I'm always happy to see that second leg of the Triple Crown. All
yep.
right. Well, they're missing tonight, but for everybody, for Ray Torado, for Joe English, and for Steve Newsom, my name is Rich Sharp. Our show is called Tournament Horse Racing. It is brought to you by Broke Guys Handicapping. I hope you have a wonderful Preakness day. Good night, everybody, and good luck.
Good night.